Bo Burnham.
What's up?
How do you feel about this conversation you just had with Dax Flame?
Dude, I am 100% absolutely stumped on this kid. He's literally either the most brilliant person ever or like the most brilliant person ever in a completely different way.
Dax Flame. One of the first YouTubers ever, as well as one of the first big internet mysteries. He rose to fame quickly back in the late 2000s with his video blogs and even landed some big movie roles like 21 Jump Street and Project X. However, over the years, Dax stopped uploading videos, and his fame quickly fizzled out, until everyone had all but forgotten about Dax Flame. It seemed Dax's flame had burnt up, until he rose from the ashes.
Dax Flame, and today I'm going to see if I can make a stranger laugh. I'm Dax Flame, and today I'm going to brighten a stranger's day. Ready for bed. Dax Flame, and today I'm going to compliment a stranger. I think you're amazing. Today I'm going to do physical comedy at the park. Thanks so much for watching, and have a awesome day.
Recently, Dax Flame has started going viral again on TikTok and Instagram with his short form content that he recently started uploading. And now, I've been a fan of Dax Flame for a long time now. I made this out of context compilation video a couple years back, have been on record saying this.
Now, Dax Flame. Dax Flame, dude, this isn't even ironic, he easily gets an S tier. He is, I'm not even joking right now, he is literally the best creator on YouTube right now. And if you say otherwise, you're just wrong.
And I've even appeared in a Dax Flame video.
So here are the replies. They have me a little bit scared.
Sort of. But since I'm not really on TikTok and Instagram a lot, I didn't even realize Dax was blowing up. It was only when he suddenly appeared as a guest star on my favorite podcast, Bad Friends, that I realized he was actually going quite viral. Probably even more viral than ever before. And honestly, I couldn't be happier. Seeing Dax become mainstream and interacting with some of my other favorite internet people, it's just such a blast. I've been rooting for Dax for so long now, and this comeback is one of the most deeply satisfying Return of the King stories ever. But it didn't really come out of nowhere. In fact, Dax's regained popularity has actually been a long road of ups and downs for a couple years now. After Dax's initial YouTube fame got him those big movie roles which earned him a decent sum of money, he spent the next few years traveling instead of investing that money into his career. So after about 8 years of leisure, Dax's fame had fizzled out and all his money was gone.
You made a shit ton from 21 Jump Street, yeah?
Yeah. And Project X.
Did you invest it at all?
No. Why are you flashing?
And while he still aspired to pursue a career in acting and writing, Dax was forced to set aside those dreams and took a day job working at an ice cream shop, facing a stagnant life of lost hopes and faded fame. But it didn't take long for Dax's fate to take a turn for the better again. In early 2019, when Dax had his hands full with his new job as an ice cream man and was busy sabotaging his way through the ranks, out of nowhere, the Superman is coming to school meme suddenly started going viral. A new generation of internet goers who had never heard of Dax Flame were now laughing at this meme of him without even necessarily knowing who he was. Following this momentum of new interest in Dax Flame, about a year later, Ice Cream Man was released, a documentary about Dax Flame produced and directed by none other than the iconic green spandex man IDubbz himself. In this documentary, IDubbz visits Dax Flame in person and spends a couple days with him, asking him what he thinks of his bygone YouTube fame, what his life is like now, and most importantly, where he wants to be heading in life. It's an amazing documentary, and if you want to get to understand the inner workings of Dax Flame's mind better, it's an absolute must-watch. Not to mention, it's also just extremely funny.
Really congrats for being able to be successful in our law school program.
Y'all like Minecraft?
At the time of making this video, the documentary has garnered over 7 million views, and I can't tell you how elated I was when I first saw this video appear in my feed, knowing there was a new surge of interest in Dax Flame. I was crossing my fingers hoping this documentary would breathe new life into Dax Flame, who had become nothing more than an internet fossil at this point, and breathe new life into Dax Flame. It did. You see, in this documentary, Dax talks about his dream to host a smoothie game show, which IDubbz then just produces on the spot. It is a hilarious bit in the documentary, but even more wholesome knowing that Dax went on to create multiple seasons of this game show he dubbed Smoothie Madness in the following months, each episode with the same kind of cringy yet wholesome vibe as the one in the documentary. But the thing that makes Smoothie Madness Madness truly great is the constantly growing cast of co-hosts. You see, over the course of the show, a bunch of contestants as well as just friends of Dax keep getting their own little segments or roles in the show. So as the episodes go on, the show just spirals further and further into chaos as it becomes this hilarious clusterfuck of all these different people with their own little unique quirks and talents that Dax wants to implement in the show, while still keeping the episodes under 20 minutes long, while also still having the show be about smoothies somehow, and it all just adds to the awkward absurdity of the whole show.
You want to bring your leg up?
I don't know why my legs is this.
It's anyone's game.
Honestly, I could make a whole video essay about Smoothie Madness on its own, but that would probably take another hour, so I'll save that for another day. But while I personally loved Smoothie Madness in all its chaotic beauty, it seemed not everyone felt the same. The views on the videos quickly started to dwindle, and before long, Dax had lost the momentum IDubbz's documentary had granted him. It started to look like Dax's revival was going to be very short-lived. However, while the general YouTube audience maybe wasn't that much into the slow burn cringe comedy of Dax Flame's channel, it was appreciated by a lot of YouTube creators. YouTube creators have always loved the Dax Flame, and if you go into the comments of any Dax Flame video ever, chances are you'll find some creators voicing their enthusiasm for Dax and his content. This love for Dax's content from other creators granted Dax the most unlikely connections and collaborations with some of the most creative people on the platform, like Smosh,
Josh Ovalle,
Turtles, but probably most importantly, Joel Haver. A couple years ago, Joel started implementing Dax into his own skits, showing exceptional skill in knowing how to utilize and channel Dax's awkward comedic rhythm.
Trent, what's he looking up?
Dead baby jokes.
Why are you looking up dead baby jokes right now?
Yeah, see, it's a real joke that people tell.
All the links are purple. You've clicked them all.
This is funny as hell.
You see, all these old school YouTubers all just have a nostalgic love for the legend that is Dax Flame, and most would love to make a video with him if given the opportunity, which just helps Dax forward in his own career as a result. It's a win-win. Or well, a win-win-win, because we as an audience get to see all sorts of amazing videos with Dax in it. What can I say, I just love to see Dax winning. But I think my favorite creative venture featuring Dax Flame has to be The Hot Seat, a talk show produced by IDubbz and hosted by Dax himself. Dax's awkward energy just flows so perfectly as a talk show host that the guests never know how to interact with him. If the Eric Andre show is chaotic evil, then The Hot Seat is chaotic good. Like, really, it's amazing.
Like, I haven't done a thing for anyone else for 4 years, so I thought this would be a fun first way back.
Thank you so much for doing it.
No, of course, but also I think it's because it's you.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
We go back. Phil.
But besides all these collaborations, Dax has obviously also been making his own videos these past years, trying whatever he can think of to get his numbers up. When Dax found out Smoothie Madness wasn't working, he tried being a career manager and lended other aspiring creators his channel. When that didn't work, he went through this AI arc where he let AI decide his actions for an entire year, and most recently he went through this personal trainer arc where Dax had this coach who held him to a confidential contract and claimed there would be, quote, consequences if Dax didn't uphold his end of the contract, though that last one turned out to be a rather brief venture, as only 2 months after announcing the collaboration with his coach JR, Dax already announced its termination. This channel is a fucking fever dream. Yes, it is! And it's awesome! Now, while all of Dax Flame's new videos are all straight up gold, in my opinion, nothing beats Dax's old video diaries.
Yes! Not going home! I don't know. Mom! Idiot! I don't eat cheese! You're just weird. You're stupid. Dax Flame.
The first time I ever heard of Dax Flame was through this video of Bo Burnham recounting his meeting with Dax, and after I'd watched it, my curiosity was naturally piqued, so I went to check out Dax's channel. Now, this was a couple years before IDubbz released Ice Cream Man, and Dax would start uploading regularly again, meaning most of the videos on Dax Flame's channel were Dax's old video diaries from the early days of YouTube. So I watched one, and then another, and another, and another, and before long, I realized I had stumbled upon a forgotten goldmine of videos. Every single vlog was as funny as the next. I was in tears, but I was also fully convinced it was all an act. A hilarious, flawless, genius act. And who could blame me? These video diaries have some of the best material you'll ever hear. Take for example this video where Dax explains how he always checks inside occupied bathroom stalls when he goes to the bathroom at school because he wants to see if the person inside the stall is someone that wants to fight him.
Sometimes this is what I used to do. I used to just jump up and grab onto the stall and lift myself and look over, but that kind of looks stupid. You just look like a idiot, kind of. So what I do is I roll a pencil underneath the stall door, and then I crawl under to get my pencil, but I'm really just seeing who that is in the stall, so that I know if they want to fight me or not. And it's never been someone that wanted to fight me, but whenever it is one day, I just realized no one even wants to fight me right now, so there was no point in checking under that stall.
I mean, this is just straight up comedy gold.
Yeah, so what happened last week was I dropped the pencil under and I crawled under to get it, and the kid freaked out. He starts yelling at me, so I was just like, I'm getting a pencil!
And every diary has like its own little quirk that hilariously separates it from the rest.
But I did want to tell you, my Thai plays music. If that brightens your day, doesn't mine.
This threw me for such a loop the first time I watched it, but it's not just that every video is unique, there's also this structure of chronology throughout all the diaries that really makes all of it feel like a meticulously crafted story, and you understand why people would think it was all made up. Take for example the Jacob saga in the first couple diaries.
Today, I think I'm gonna try to make friends with someone, cause there's this kid named Jacob, and I really think he's kinda cool. I decided that it would be funny or cool or something. And I turned and I yelled, P-fight! Idiot! Miss Barnhill put me and Jacob together for our science lab.
Why did you pee on me yesterday?
That wasn't even me. Oh,
I saw you.
It was like a twin I have.
You can honestly keep binging these diaries and never get bored. And I'm cherry picking little moments here, but the thing that makes these video diaries truly great is their awkward rhythm when you watch them in their entirety. So really, you have to watch these videos for yourself, because I can't do the comedy of them justice in a video essay. And look, I know it can be tough. I often hear friends say they can't finish a Dax Flame video because it's just too cringe, and you know,
Today we're going to be making funny faces, and the first person to laugh loses.
Okay.
So you could start.
All right.
Okay.
I get it, but personally I've just watched so many Dax Flame videos that I've blown past the point of cringe long ago, and now I just think everything he does is amazing. I guess I've just kind of become immune to Dax Flame's cringe, and now I just appreciate all of his videos for their geniosity. From Dax's interview with Josh Beck in 2008, where he asks the question that had been on everyone's mind.
Do you have the Oedipus complex?
To when he partook in one of the first YouTube trends, a day in the life of insert YouTuber, in this case a day in the life of Dax Flame, where for 13 minutes he's just exuding the strongest Michael Scott energy ever.
I don't know if there's any games I could join that look like they're all playing.
Basketball? I find that I am better at defense than offense usually when I play. Although I will note that usually I'm the best on the court at both of those. But I have a pretty good explanation as to why I am usually better at defense than offense, and that is because, you know, the art of intimidation is a very important part of a basketball game, and I am very just good at that art, the art of intimidation. You know, by simply getting within 5 feet of a person, a lot of the times I will find that they miss a shot.
I mean, all of Dax Flame's videos are brilliant, but every so often there are these videos that are truly special, like the story of Jaylene's life, or even one of his latest videos where he goes to eat sushi. These videos aren't necessarily funnier or cringier than others, that's not what I mean. I mean, they're kind of beautiful? Truly, I can't explain it, but for some reason, every so often, Dax will post a video that has this weird artistic beauty to it. Which brings me to my absolute favorite Dax Flame video ever.
Most of my life, I felt like an outsider, always a bit out of place. But when I moved to LA, I felt at home. I was happy. I had you.
In 2019, Dax made a documentary called Indoor Garden. In this documentary, we follow Dax's life for a couple of weeks, and he talks about how he's running out of money and won't be able to pay rent in a couple of weeks if no money comes in. At this point in his life, after years of traveling without engaging in any big creative endeavors, Dax is no longer famous, nor is he a kid anymore, so he has to start getting realistic. However, Dax doesn't want to move out of LA and go to college because all of his friends are in LA, but he also doesn't want to get a dead-end job. So, in a final effort to make something good for himself, he decides to make an invention. An indoor garden where you can grow your own vegetables in little trays using an app. He hopes to create the invention and maybe start a business with it, or sell the idea and get some quick cash. While the invention is more just a means to get money, Dax is ultimately hoping to get more acting roles, another reason why he doesn't want to move out of LA. In between time spent working on the invention, he does little gigs like a stand-up set and a YouTube cameo, all while secretly hoping this documentary as a whole might get him on the map again. As the documentary progresses, we see Dax interacting with possible investors, students to get second opinions, photographers, cinematographers. He's trying anything and everything within this combined focus of producing the invention and producing the documentary. At a certain point, there's even a guy who claims he wants to make a documentary about Dax, since he was a big fan of him back in the day and he had seen Dax's Kickstarter for the invention online. This doesn't end up going anywhere, but still, in his own awkward way, Dax is doing very well at trying to achieve his objectives. And while the documentary itself feels very serene and quiet, there's this underlying sense of urgency that makes the whole thing feel as important to us as it is to Dax. Dax's urgency of finishing the invention is beautifully softened by random intermittent bits of mundane conversations, where, for example, a cinematographer asks Dax some questions about his recent breakup, or this conversation between Dax and his friend about dating, where Dax says he misses his ex, or the sequence where they're just taking random shots at a bowling alley because Dax explains it's one of the first spots he and his ex went on a date together. Until you suddenly realize this documentary isn't about the invention at all.
Yeah, I think that's the theme of the movie, because I wanted the theme to be redemption, but I wanted to not feel like like that, even if you go through breakup, that you can still make a difference and stuff. But then yeah.
The first time I watched this, for the first time, I finally started to realize that maybe Dax Flame wasn't joking at all, and that everything he's ever said and everything he's ever done might actually all be real. Throughout the whole documentary, Dax is still awkward and he still says out-of-pocket stuff, but it very obviously isn't with any intention to be funny. All of his stutters every time he says or does something cringy, they quite obviously aren't jokes. And while he still does all the things that usually make his videos so funny, while watching this documentary you're not necessarily laughing. You sort of feel that he's not trying to be funny or get a laugh out of people, which in different contexts would make it funnier, but in this documentary it just makes it all feel more authentic and grounded. He's just struggling his way through life like everyone else, trying to subtly deal with big latent emotions. We can finally empathize with him, as opposed to laughing at the videos where his emotions are at a boiling point. And the way Indoor Garden is shot only lends further to its authenticity. The whole documentary is obviously very self-aware, but also the way it's directed feels very meta. In the documentary, Dax ultimately ends up finishing the invention, but he isn't able to sell it. In fact, not much after Dax posted his documentary, Macy's released an incredibly similar product before Dax took his invention to market, and he had to give up on trying to sell his invention. On top of that, the documentary the guy wanted to make never got realized, so that's when Dax Flame decided to get a job. An ordinary, everyday job. Putting all of his ambitions to rest and letting all of his dreams in the past. That's when Dax Flame became a normal, everyday ice cream man. And the rest is history, I guess. So yes, Dax Flame is real, or I guess I should say Madison is real, because that's his real name. All of his old video diaries, all of his new public interaction shorts, all of the awkwardness, all of the cringe, all of it is real. And I think that's just beautiful. But now I know what you're thinking. There's no way this guy isn't neurodivergent. I mean, he has to be to pull this kind of shit off.
I'm Dax Flame, and today I'm gonna do a tickle challenge with a stranger. So I'm here with Caleb, and we're gonna take turns tickling each other, and whoever laughs first loses. So, go. Okay. And then, okay.
And I have my own theories on that personally, but since I don't know that much about psychology and am not a neurologist, I don't feel it's my place to publicly speculate about it, especially since Dax himself has said this.
Have you been like diagnosed with any sort of like social disorder or
No.
anything mental?
Yeah, no.
No?
No. I don't think I have anything. Maybe I do. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't care.
You don't care?
I mean, maybe people say it's like can be good to find out if you have something, but I don't think I do.
But what I will diagnose Dax with is a bad case of Michael Scottism. Madison is just such a childlike goof. He sometimes makes you laugh and sometimes makes your heart melt. He doesn't always pick up on social cues or sarcasm. He badly wants to be seen doing the right thing and often looks to others for moral affirmation or judgment. The best example I can think of is when in an old video diary, Dax explains how he stole a set of iPod speakers from someone, which the comments then proceeded to berate him for. He then realized he did a bad thing, and so in the next video he tries to convince everyone he's a good person because he gave the iPod speakers to a random person. First of all, tell me that isn't something Michael Scott would do, and second, tell me that isn't just peak comedy. And I was always convinced everything Dax did was all just part of this brilliant comedic routine, that it was just the most genius long haul high effort low reward bit ever pulled in the history of mankind. But after I started to realize that Madison was just actually like that, I started to appreciate him in a completely different way, just like Bo Burnham said in that video. And if you still want to believe it's a character, sure, you can believe it's a character. But as someone who's watched near all the online footage there is of Madison, all of his cameos, collaborations, interviews, or whatever else, I can personally tell you everything out there just reaffirms and confirms the fact that Madison is not playing a character, but is in fact just being himself. And if that ruins the magic for you, I'm telling you, you're missing the point. Just think about it. All the comedy we thought was written, all of those videos we thought were performed, it was all just real. It was the most authentic, raw, human form of expression, which in my opinion makes all of it 10 times funnier. And also, in the strangest way, so much more respectable. Dax Flame has always just stayed true to himself. And in a way, he basically opened the door for other quote-unquote weirdos to be themselves online. Dax Flame walked so guys like The Report of the Week, Buff Corel, and whoever else could run. So in turn, Dax could fly. And while now the internet has grown to become more accepting of the odd wacko being themselves online, Dax did it in a time when you'd get shit for it, and he still kept true to himself, regardless of the endless hate he got. That takes courage. He truly is a hero. I can't really explain it, but I think there's just such a poetic irony in that the guy everyone thinks must be fake is actually one of the most real people on the internet. I guess we just couldn't imagine that anyone would dare put themselves out there like that. Dax Flame isn't an enigma. All the questions we posed surrounding him, we made up ourselves. And while he definitely is a character, he's not playing a character. He's not acting, not catering to an audience. He's just simply, unapologetically being himself. And I think that's hard as fuck.